another great month for the model portfolio and a great month for my investors. Though Friday was a little bit of a downer, which is why I thought the topic of, bear buy and super bear buy would be a good one, because a lot of people panic just when they see one, the market going down.
Right.
And that's cost one of my investors hundreds of thousands of dollars, because he had a day when the Dow went down 1,000 points. He panicked and sold everything he owned. After the previous 6 years or so, I'd made him more than $500,000. And so, but he was of all things, he was a licensed psychologist with a PhD. And it's the craziest thing. I was giving him therapy to try and understand the way the stock market works. I said,
Right.
and he never could grasp it. He just never, he thought any day it went down, it was going to go out of business or something, and I couldn't help people like that. So I found it ironic. I was giving therapy to a psychologist.
Last week we went into a little bit more about lease. Today we're excited because we're going to talk about your bear. You have a special bear buy strategy, and we're going to explain that in a little more detail so people can understand why it's great to be patient and what you can do when the market starts going down and you start to get a little nervous. So there's a strategy for that, and you're going to explain what that is. So
Yes,
first,
I will.
how are you doing today, Jeff? It's great to see you again.
I'm doing great. I love doing these broadcasts and helping people. I want to show them all aspects of AIM, and I've tried to think of everything that could hurt you in investing. And one thing that could hurt you with AIM is if you run out of cash. Well, not all of us have deep pockets where we could just, dig out a few, 10,000 here or 20,000 there if we needed to make a new buy. So I came up with a strategy which enables you to never have to put more money in and still be able to buy all the way down as long as you need to. And I'm going to explain that today. So that will comfort you after a day like Friday when you saw everything go down about 5% on average. So days like that are typical in the stock market because, as I tell you all the stock market is a giant roller coaster for investors. Some days it's going to go up, some days it's going to go down, and some days it's going to continue to go down. When you have a major crisis like you did with the financial meltdown in 2008 and 9, and we had earlier this year and last year until about April, and then the bull market started coming back, and we had about 4 or 5 months of bull market, and then I don't know if Friday signals the end of the bull market, but if it does, you'll be prepared when you learn my bear buy and super bear buy strategy.
For those that are watching, we're going to be putting some numbers up on the screen so that you can follow along with the conversation and understand what we're talking about. And then you can reach out to Jeff and be able to have a copy for yourself so you can help you in your investment journey.
Right. And you will also get a free copy of my book and my latest invention to help you with future buys is I create a up to the minute list of leaps and leveraged ETFs that are good for the buy. I put those prices together Friday afternoon after the market closes, and I send it out to you Saturday. So you will have 4 leveraged ETFs and 6 leaps that are good to buy. But again, I try and combine the two magic things. You need a way to invest, and you need to know what to invest in. And I think I've covered both of those very completely so that you will have an easy time picking future buys of leaps and or leveraged ETFs. And then you will have the strategy, and you will be learning bits of the strategy every week during my TV show. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what is on the sheet and how I use the bear buy strategy. Let's pretend on January 2nd, 23, we buy 20 contracts at $10. We would start with 10,000 of leap value and 20,000 of leap value and 20,000 of cash. We started with $40,000. Okay. Now we ignore the first buy when we're thinking of bear strategy. So I will give you the explanation on that. And then on January 17th, roughly 15 days later, the price of your option goes from $10 to $7.50. That's enough to trigger a regular AIM buy. We count this as your first buy. We don't count the initial buy. So you buy 5, and you see your portfolio total has gone from 40,000 to 35,000. Okay. Now we hit a bit of a bear run here where it's going down. So on the 17th of January, it hits $5. It's now 50% lower than your initial buy. Okay. This is your second buy, and it's going to be a normal AIM buy, which uses 25% lower as the deciding factor what the next buy price is. So you go from $7.50 to $5, and you buy 11 contracts. And here's the beauty of AIM. Even though your leaps value has gone down by 50% from $10 to $5, you still have only gone down in a portfolio total from 40,000 to 28,000. You're not down to 20,000 because AIM is protecting you. It's lowering your break-even point because you own more contracts. So you have gone from 20 contracts to 36 contracts, and now you have a chance and a need to use a bear buy because you made your first buy at $5. You made your second buy, your first buy at $7.50, your second buy at $5. So now, how do we figure the first bear buy? Very simple. I keep it simple, as they say. Instead of going down 25%, you go down 50%. So since you made your second buy at $5, you're going to make this third buy at $2.50. You can buy many more contracts when you lower the buy price 50%. And how do we decide how many to buy here? Okay, we use another trick to conserve our cash. We only use 1/3 of our remaining cash to make the buy. So we had $16,250, and 1/3 of that allows you to buy 14 more contracts. And your cash goes down from 10,750 to 7,250. So now your leap is down 75%. But again, you're only down about 50%. So you see, you're protected and you still have $7,250 in cash. Okay, so what happens next? Okay, I decided that, because most of the time it's like not just your stock or leap that's going down, it's the whole market. It's more of a, hurricane effect. Everything's getting wiped out at the same time. So I factor that into account and I say, I'm going to make a super bear buy this time. Okay, so I made my buy at 250 as a bear buy. How do I determine a super bear buy? Well, I used the same 50% lower to start with. So half of 250 is $1.25. But I'm not going to buy at $1.25. I'm going to lower it all the way to $1 and buy. That's down 90% from your original price. Okay. And you have gone from 20 contracts to 74 contracts. So you've greatly lowered your break-even point, and you will easily be able to recover, even if it doesn't ever go back to your original price of $10. But I would say, from my experience, because leaps have a very long time before they expire, I would say a good 95% of all the ones that went seriously down have broken even. I'll give you another example of why you want to use lean and super and bear buy and super bear buy. I had a friend who bought JD. He originally bought it at $14. Well, it went down and down and down. He went from owning 15 contracts to owning 138 contracts on it. And because of bear buying and super bear buying, he still had cash left to buy. So I told him at this point, hey, his name was Jeff also. I told him, hey, Jeff, I said, I'm feeling bad for you on this Jet. And actually, Jet was a very good company, but the Chinese government messed with it, and that made investors sour on the stock. And so the price kept going down and down and down. But believe me, going from 15 contracts to 138 contracts greatly lowered his break-even point. And I'll give you, the ending is a happy ending, of course. With AIM, it usually is. When it got to 38 cents, I called him because it was about time to roll over. The option was getting short. It only had about 6 months before it expired. And I told him, I said, hey, Jeff, we got to do something. I want you to put in whatever sell price you want for all 138, and let's get a little of your money back. I honestly had given up on it, even myself. But I would never let somebody's option expire worthless, because if you hold them till the day they expire, they are worth nothing. So you don't want that. So I told him, he said, okay. So the next day he sends me an email and says, Jeff, I put in a sell for 138 contracts at $3.50, which was roughly 1,000% higher than the price was at 38 cents. So I'm going, well, good luck with that one, But he was right and I was wrong, because within a week, his leap rose to $3.50. He sold all 138 contracts for $3.50 $350 a contract and made a profit of $28,000 on that trade, and that broke him even on that particular one. And then I decided I wasn't going to mess with any more Chinese stocks for a while. Even if they're a good company, the government messes with them. You have to understand that AIM is the absolute perfect strategy for a roller coaster stock market, which was what we've always had, ups and downs. I mean, I looked up a bunch of stocks in March 2009. I was begging everybody to buy after the big financial meltdown. Give you an idea, the Dow Jones went from 13,000 a little over a year later, and from 2008 to March 2009, the Dow had gone down from 13,000 to 6,500. That's a 50% drop. Anybody notice what the Dow Jones is these days? It's about 44,000. So long term, the stock market has always been bullish. I mean, you can go back to 1931. The Dow Jones hit its all-time low of 41 for 30 stocks, a little over $1 a stock. And one of the smartest investors who ever lived was a gentleman by the name of Bernard Baruch. How do we know he was smart? Because while the other brokers and skeptics and manipulators were jumping out the window in 1929, Baruch was not jumping out the window. Come 1931 was when the stock market hit its all-time low of 41. Baruch called up his stockbroker and said, buy me $10,000 worth of every one of the 30 stocks on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. His broker said, you're crazy. Baruch said, do it. Well, that do it allowed him to become a multi-billionaire, because he did that when he was 59 and he lived to be 95. So he got to enjoy a lot of that money. Who doesn't wish they had a time machine? They could go back to 1931 and buy a few hundred of them, or any time during the Great Depression.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned his age, because that's why we tell people you can do this at any point in life.
Yeah, exactly. AIM, I made a guy 1,250,000 in 1 year. So if we suddenly get a long bull period, you can easily make over $1 million. I have a guy just recently, since April, his portfolio has grown from 700,000 to 2,400,000, just because he made all the buys. At one point, he figured out he had started with 350 contracts. Thanks to bear buy and super bear buy, he had gone from 350 to like 720. And those were the ones he was selling come April till about Thursday. All the time he was getting sells. So we took full advantage of all the sells. We beefed his cash up, so he had a lot more cash than he had when he had 700,000, and he had the cash to buy. So that's the way you want to do it. You don't want to take money out of the investment. You want to let it grow until you're really ready to use it. And my friend is waiting for about a year and a half, and plans to retire early and live on the money he's made from AIM, because he wants to go windsurfing and kite surfing and not fly jet planes anymore. So
that sounds like a great plan.
This is the easiest way you'll ever find to make the most money, the most profits, because AIM and the bear buy strategy go hand in hand perfectly, and they will always give you the right information. And the beauty of AIM is it's always telling you how many to buy and at what price to buy. So you've taken the emotion out of it. you need to live with it for like 6 months or so, and then you will feel very comfortable when the market goes down that you're not going to panic, that you realize it enabled you to double or triple the number of contracts you own. And then when the market goes back up, you have 3 times as much leaps to make a profit on. Plus, you've lowered your break-even point tremendously. Like my friend, he started with 15 contracts at $14 on JD, yet when he made the final sell of the 138 at $3.50, that was his break-even point, $3.50. So he was able to break even, make a $28,000 profit on the last trade, and break totally even though he was down more than 50%, almost 75% from his initial buy. And again, I don't want, I know this is something pretty new to do, but you need to learn this so that you feel comfortable investing in the stock market and investing with leaps and or leveraged ETFs. I've done the bear strategy with leveraged ETFs too, when I needed to, because my rule of thumb is I'm always going to, and I've even come up with a hybrid bear strategy where I look at the cash. Let's say somebody has 5,000 cash, and when I did the regular calculation to see how much their buy would be, let's say it came to 3,000. Well, that's 60% of your remaining cash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 5,000 times 0.33, and that's going to give me the amount of cash. Let me see what that is here. I can. Be about my light. It's giving me trouble here. Hold on here. Would be about 1650. So instead of using 3,000, I would use 1650. And you stop doing the bear buy and super bear buy strategy once you get a sell. And so I ended up on this one. I'll finish off because we all love happy endings, and AIM gives you many happy endings. So after 1 bear buy, 2 bear buys, 1 super bear buy, the stock rallied from $1 to $5. Well, at the time it's $5, you have gone from owning 20 contracts to owning 50. So you had 50 times 5, and you had a tremendous buy on that one. By doing that, your money total went from 12,250 for portfolio total, which is a combination of your cash and leaps value, from 12,250 to 41,850. So you are profitable by $1,850 when the leap is at half the original price you bought it. That's pretty amazing.
Tired of old school cable internet slowing you down? Let Tech Savvy Sales and Marketing Group help you make the switch. We are a leading provider of internet, home automation, security, and TV services, offering high-speed solutions tailored to your needs. Thanks to partnerships with top providers like AT&T Fiber, Vivint, Kinetic Windstream, Brightspeed Fiber, and DirecTV, we can connect you with amazing deals. For example, switching from Spectrum Cable to AT&T Fiber can boost your upload speeds by up to 25 times, providing plenty of bandwidth for smart home devices, streaming, gaming, and work. No more lag or slowing down. Our highly trained professionals offer free personal consultations, and unlike other providers, we go above and beyond with direct communication and doorstep visits to find the best solution, tailored to your exact needs. Call us today to schedule your free consultation or visit our website for more information on our services.